Coming up on Cronkite News tonight, we'll cover what's behind the upward trend in COVID cases in the state,
and how infrastructure talks are developing and will impact Arizona residents. And later on Break It Down, the controversy surrounding unpaid internships.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Kimberly Silverio Bautista. Thank you for joining us. Arizona health officials reported over 1,000 new COVID-19 cases for a third day. The state's Department of Health Services released its latest daily virus numbers this morning, finding more than 1,200 new cases and 17 deaths. The latest numbers bring Arizona's pandemic total to over 906,000 cases. Officials have attributed the upward trend the last few weeks from gatherings from July 4th and the increase of spread from the Delta variant. The state has also seen a rapid slowdown in regards to vaccinations. The state is also seeing a rapid decrease in vaccination. Nearly 50% of Arizona's population is fully vaccinated, but the Delta variant can still be harmful, especially to those who are not vaccinated. The Arizona Democratic Party renewed calls for an investigation into possible election interference today. Party Chair Raquel Terán, Senate Minority Leader Rebecca Rios, and House Minority Leader Reginald Bolding held a virtual news conference. They called on State Attorney General Mark Brnovich to investigate whether Arizona Republican Chair Kelly Ward and Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani tried to stop ballot counting in the 2020 general election. Democratic Secretary of State Katie Hobbs sent a letter to Brnovich also requesting the investigation. That's after media reported text from Ward asking county supervisors to stop counting and calls from Giuliani and then President Trump ahead of the vote certification.
You know, it's extremely important right now that, elected leaders who've been put in positions of authority, they act on that authority. And the reality is that we've seen investigations launched for far less. We've seen increase for far less. But what we're now seeing specifically is illegal behavior that absolutely will threaten our democracy.
Hobbs sent the letter July 7th. Hobbs is now running for governor and Brnovich is running for U.S. Senate. The bipartisan infrastructure framework is supported by more than 300 elected officials across the country. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg came to Arizona to meet with mayors and senators to discuss how transportation will be impacted. Reporter Julia Sander was downtown at the news conference yesterday.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visited Phoenix yesterday as a part of his 3-day infrastructure tour, which started in Oregon and will end in Illinois. His main focus in Arizona is to shed light on the bipartisan investment in infrastructure and how that investment could help different communities.
But we've got to recognize that there are a lot of people who have no choice but to look to public transit or to make long and sometimes unsafe pedestrian commutes in what can often be crushing heat here in a place like Maricopa County. All the more reason why it is about expanding possibilities for people in their lives. And when they can fully contribute to the economy, the whole community is better off.
The proposal includes $49 billion for public transit, and the Federal Transit Agency recommended giving Valley Metro nearly $1.6 million for projects.
I believe the federal government can and should step up even more. That's what we're talking about when it comes to great infrastructure investment. Tangible projects that can change people's lives for the better, strengthen our economy, and help us better take on the challenge of the future.
Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego and Tempe Mayor Corey Woods explained how these expansions could help families in their communities. Buttigieg says their support goes a long way, and the infrastructure plan can help the U.S. become the most competitive country in the 21st century.
The transformation that I've seen in the heart of Phoenix, I think, reflects what leadership can do and definitely what good public investment can do.
In Phoenix, Julia Sandor, Cronkite News.
Buttigieg says the Department of Transportation is taking this historic opportunity to get more investments and talk to more communities that need help. Arizona representatives say they hope the bill will be passed sometime next week. This morning, Kaibab and COCONINO National Forest ended fire restrictions they had put in place due to dry weather. The heavy storms across the state brought some water to the ground to allow the lifting of those limits. although care is still needed as fire dangers are still high across the state in those forests. It will take more than monsoon storms to bring fire dangers lower. Officials still ask people to not use campfires and to remain vigilant. They also say it is always illegal to leave a fire unattended. Closures due to the Raphael, Mangum, Slate, and Backbone fires are still in place. This morning, Governor Doug Ducey issued an emergency fund of $200,000 for COCONINO County flooding response. The flooding led to drastic damage throughout the county and in Flagstaff. And those monsoon storms continue today with some heavy rain this morning. Last night's storms caused power outages for thousands of Arizona residents. The National Weather Service issued some flood warnings in the Chandler area this morning. Let's go to Tina Giuliano in the Weather Center to see what to expect from storms for the weekend.
Yeah, you might need your umbrella today because we are seeing a lot of rain and some thunder, maybe a little bit of lightning here at night. As you can see, we're seeing some clouds up here by the Grand Canyon, and that little bit of green moisture is kind of going through most of our state. We're going to kind of see it go with some pretty heavy storms, and those heavy storms make the ground pretty wet for flash flooding. So there are a few flash flood alerts for certain places around the valley and up north, Flagstaff being one of them. We are seeing some pretty hot temperatures though, so that humidity and those hot temperatures are going to make it pretty muggy with 101 in Phoenix, 76 in Flagstaff, so it's pretty nice up there. But over here, Quartzsite, Lake Havasu City, 105, 101, pretty hot temperatures, but your evening is going to look pretty nice with some clouds. We're going to see some clouds finally. It'll be 93 by the end of tonight with a 15% chance of rain, but we will see the little bit of stormy clouds and some rain near 8 p.m. today. But those storm clouds are not going to go away because we are going to see pretty much across the board for the next 8 days, stormy, cloudy, muggy skies, but we'll be seeing some low 100s. You'll be in the 100s for your weekend and starting off your work week with 106 and then ending throughout the week with some stormy skies and in the high 90s. So grab your umbrella, grab your raincoat, get ready for some fun weather. In the Weather Center, Tina Giuliano, Cronkite News.
A dramatic surge in high tide flooding is expected to hit U.S. coastal communities in the next decade. That's according to a new study by NASA. The study, published in the journal Nature Climate Change, says that the rapid increase will start in the mid-2030s. That's when the moon cycle will increase rising sea levels caused by the climate crisis. Northern coastlines like Alaska won't be spared. They also will see an increase, but just a little later. High tide floods involve less water than storm surges from a hurricane, but scientists say they are still dangerous. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration reported over 600 high tide floodings in 2019. Coming up next on Cronkite News, some highlights and reporting from the week. We'll show you how citrus trees have struggled in a profile on one U.S. Paralympic athlete. Don't go away.
Hey, I'm Rick Steves. You know, I don't go anywhere without my passport. And now, thanks to PBS Passport, you can travel with me and watch all 10 seasons of Rick Steves Europe and all my travel specials. This exclusive streaming service is just for our members. Not only can you see all my shows, but you can see thousands of hours of your favorite public television shows. Become a member today and get your passport.
Stay in the know on the go. At Cronkite News, we work hard to report the facts and keep you updated, whether we're on set or on the scene.
Taking it from the studio to the field. So I'm here in South Phoenix.
In Phoenix, we're just a click away. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
We do welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. We had some great stories this week covering perseverance through challenges and sustainability. Let's take a look back at the coverage.
Our heat wave is impacting citrus trees, especially those planted during the pandemic. I talked with an expert to get tips on how to keep them healthy. During the pandemic, when everyone was stuck at home, many people took on a new hobby. For many residents, that hobby was gardening, and one of the most sought-out plants was a citrus tree.
This last year, we saw tons of customers coming in looking to do more home-based gardening. They wanted to have edible products that they didn't have to leave the house for. And of course, a big part of that's the citrus trees.
Citrus is a huge export of our state and is one of the iconic 5 C's of Arizona that is taught in schools.
And citrus is something that's very unique to our state. You can grow it in your homes. You can, of course, we grow it commercially, which is why it's one of those 5 C's. And we have things like your grapefruits, lemons, limes, oranges, tangerines, pretty much everything you can think of will grow here.
Sal BRACALE explains that during the pandemic, his nursery saw a 20% uptick in clients looking to buy citrus trees.
Really feed quite a few people in a household. You can use it for, of course, drinks and cocktails, things like that. But really the edible source that these guys are was what made these so popular.
BRACALE says there are other useful benefits to owning a citrus tree.
And actually adds to the retail value of your home. Landscaping your home with all kinds of trees, but especially these beautiful citrus trees can really help you guys flip your home on down the road. And that's something else that's going on really heavily in our area right now.
With the extreme heat this summer and not having any experience, BRACALE says new owners are unsure of how to care for them.
And now we're starting to get those questions about care. How often do I water? When do I fertilize, and what do I need to do?
If cared for correctly, by early winter, these green citrus fruits will be orange and ready to harvest. BRACALE says that watering new citrus trees is the most important care tip. He suggests a slow and heavy watering to help the plants survive summer heat and stress.
Wheelchair rugby is a sport you don't hear about often, but Cronkite sports reporter Aaron Slendy tells us how one local Arizona athlete's love for this unique sport brought him to the top.
Joe Jackson has always had a passion for high-intensity sports. After watching Murderball, the wheelchair rugby documentary, he knew he had found his calling.
After that, I was sold. I was like, okay, getting a chair, I'm gonna find a team, and I'm gonna work my way up.
Jackson was paralyzed from the chest down in a football accident in 2005. But he hasn't let his injury stop him from doing what he loves.
I mean, I'm the smallest guy out there, one of them, and I like to hit, like to try and make plays, just be an athlete.
Jackson is a member of the 3-time national winning Phoenix Heat. Last year, Jackson was training to be on the 2020 Paralympic team until the pandemic hit and the games were canceled. There were many limitations on the athletes and strict protocol when it came to their training. But Jackson never quit reaching for his goal, to be a Paralympian.
He's been working through COVID, pushing with a mask on by himself in the gym.
Joe Jackson spent many summers training to be one of the best wheelchair rugby players in the nation. This year, he will be one of 12 members to represent Team USA at the 2021 Paralympics in Tokyo.
Just to represent the USA at the highest level and try to bring back a gold.
The support Jackson gets from his friends, family, and the Paralympic community make the sacrifice he has made to get to this point worth it.
It's like a little family, even at the local level. So here, all these guys are great friends of mine. And we learn from each other. It's like our own little support group because we're all going through somewhat similar situations.
USA has not won a medal since 2008 and is looking forward to taking down 2-time defending champions Australia. In Phoenix, Aaron Slendy, Cronkite News.
The rugby team leaves on August 17th before the games start on the 25th.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.